Then Netflix moved into the idea of video streaming, where you could stream movies or TV shows to internet-connected devices. So rather than having the store where you would need to go for rental or an online store where they would ship a DVD to your house, and we're talking at the physical shipment of goods or picking up of goods, then they moved into what's called video streaming, and that's probably what you know them as more recently if you're subscribing to Netflix, where you can stream movies or TV shows to internet-connected devices. So the way it works on your TV, set-top box, STB stands for set-top box, smartphones. So if this is in this case, we're talking about a set-top box, you basically have the internet, right? And your box or your TV is connected to the internet in some way through your house. You looked at the Wi-Fi setup for a home, and this isn't a wireless connection on your set-top box. It would be on your smartphone, but your set-top box is not going to be wireless, but you're connected to the internet somehow. And then the internet has a connection back to you. And then somewhere from within the internet, there's some place. We call these servers, or they're data centers. And we a lot of times think of that as the cloud. And there's another chapter in the optional reading on the cloud that we may have time to look at a little bit in a later lecture. And then basically, once you send this request to this cloud, then the cloud will stream the service all the way back to you. So this movie that you want, if you're selecting whatever movie this is contained somewhere in this server, and then the server will send that movie back to you in little bits and pieces as you watch it, allowing you to watch the movie. So they started moving into this whole idea of streaming movies. And that really gave them a lot of remarkable growth. And there's a lot of statistics up to Q1 2011, around March, actually. If you look online, there's some stats about Netflix in March 2011 when they did some tests on the internet and packets running through the internet and so on. So one of those is that they had increased to 23 million subscribers in the U.S. and Canada by March of 2011. And they had, from 2008, they only had 9 million. So they basically had almost tripled in size in about 3 years, which is pretty remarkable. They had also surpassed Comcast. At this time, at least, they were right up to where Comcast is, or up to par, just a little higher than Comcast in terms of their number of video subscribers. And so now you can see Netflix over here at about 22.8 million, this graph's in millions subscribers. Comcast 22.76, just trailing behind a little bit. And so they had moved up to the top. And this is only counting the people who were subscribed to Comcast for video services, not necessarily internet connectivity, for instance. But then, moving down, we also have DirecTV, Dish, satellite network. Then there's Fios down here. Then again, this is as of 2011, so this is like 2 years ago. And then AT&T, Uverse over here, down with 4 million, 3.8 million, respectively. Some of these are growing very rapidly too. And but at this time, at least, they were at the height, and they were the highest. And really cool is that if you took, at that time in March 2011, whenever this was done, if you took the number of packets that were on the internet and you basically counted up the number of them that were going for different services. Okay, Netflix had 1/4 of the bits on the internet, which is really, really interesting. So really what we mean by that is right here we're dividing things in terms of upstream bandwidth. Okay, and upstream means going from the customer to wherever it was in the internet. Then we have downstream, which is going from the internet to the customer, right? So if this is customer and this is the internet, or wherever in the internet, really, the application, we could call it. Basically, upstream is from the customer to wherever, and downstream is from wherever it's coming from back to the customer. And if we took all across the internet and looked over this, the estimate was that Netflix in downstream, which again is coming from Netflix to the customer, had almost 30% of total downstream bandwidth. So that means that 30% of the bits on the internet were actually coming to Netflix, or from Netflix to customers, which is really, really insane. And again, a large part of the reason for that is because, as we said, video data is huge, and especially HD movies, they require a lot of bandwidth to serve. So it does take up a lot of room on the internet. And at the same time, aggregate is a combination of upstream and downstream, just looking at all of everything. that is being sent over the internet. And they had at that time 24.71, about 1/4 or 25%. That's where this 1/4 comes from. So what it's saying is that 1 in every 4 bits on the internet in the month of March 2011 was actually coming from Netflix. And so it's just to show you how large Netflix was in terms of the demand that they were taking from the internet.